Hello everybody, my name is Mr. Stixman and welcome to Stormworks Career Mode. Today there is a lot to do, so I'm going to start off by showing you a time-lapse of me finishing off this truck, getting it mission ready. But after that I'm going to show you a couple of microcontrollers which I'll be making for this truck as well. And then lastly, I have been working on 2 extra things behind the scenes which I haven't shown anyone yet. One of them I'm going to show at the end of this video, which is a trailer for this truck. The other one I'm going to keep as a secret until the next episode, but it will play a big role in our mission in transporting containers around the map. But for now we have a job to do, so let's get on with it and make this truck even better. And here it is then, the truck is now mission ready. There are some things we still have to do. Now, I've got this big gap on the back of the truck. That's because we haven't actually set up the microcontrollers for these doors yet. And I'm going to do that in just a second on camera and show you how I do that. But for the most part, it is now ready to go. I'd really like to thank everyone for making suggestions for this truck as well. And 3 people in particular have mentioned things. Some of those things I've done, some of those things I haven't done. So I'll just run through what they are right now. And Emerald suggested moving the wheels, which we have done already actually. So that should help us quite a bit. But also, you've suggested adding a bumper on the front. Now, I do want to do that. And I'll probably do it at some point before we actually, in between videos or something like that. But yeah, that's another good point which I forgot to do in this time lapse, and I will do my best to add that somehow if it fits. If it doesn't fit, I might leave it out, but it is a good idea, so I'll see what I can do. Also, MG said that I could have a mechanism for the hood or the bonnet to open and close. I actually really love this idea. I kind of had it working, but I was really struggling with that. I found it very difficult to do, so I had a few problems, and I've decided just for now to not have the hood opening and closing. But I will absolutely do that in the future if I find a good way of doing it. Having said that, I can actually repair underneath the truck. I can crawl under it because it's quite high off the ground, and I think I can pretty much reach everything from the ground underneath. So, repairing should be okay. I haven't quite tested that properly yet, but I'm not too worried at this stage. And finally, Brian said that we could add generators to the wheels of the trailer and therefore generate extra power, which is a fantastic idea. I have not added that yet to the trailer, but I have made the trailer, as you'll see very shortly in this video. What I'm going to do is, first of all, have a run towing a container without the generators on the wheels, because they will probably add a bit of resistance, and it might be fine. But I want to try it first of all, without the generators, just to make sure we actually get there and we don't, sort of get stuck and we can't get up the hills and everything. But if we get up the hills, I'll add someone to the trailer, and yeah, hopefully that will generate some extra power. What a great idea that is. So thank you everybody for your suggestions. I have done some extra changes as well since the time lapse. For example, I have adjusted the back here, and now the connection point is there because I have tested it with the trailer and everything, so I know it works better like this. And as you can see, I've now added 4 extra small electric motors. This thing is so fast. Although I'm not going for speed, I am going for power and traction and torque and stuff like that, of course. But I think just in case we get stuck halfway on this pretty epic journey with a container that's quite heavy, I thought if we just use extra motors, it's going to be, a good thing. Now, I have tested these motors running full power in this thing, and we can maintain full battery, which is incredible at top speed. It's just amazing, really. I don't know how fast I was going, but it was very, very fast indeed. Anyway, I may actually turn these wheels to the high grip versions of them, just to be on the safe side. But yes, it is now 6-wheel drive, and also I've got rear wheel steering on this thing as well. So I think this vehicle is now very, very capable of the job that we're about to do with it in the very near future. But as I say, there are a couple of microcontrollers we need to do, and the first one I'm going to do is these doors here, so that we can actually cover up the back wall, put some tools and equipment on it as well. That's another thing we have to do. And then, yeah, we can just use the doors themselves to get in and out, as we're meant to do anyway. So let's get on with that now, and hopefully it shouldn't be too complicated. If we have a look at the doors here, you can see that the arrows, the positive arrow, is facing outwards on both of these doors, and that's what we want here because we're going to use a positive number and then send it outwards 90 degrees. So now we're going to go into our microcontroller editor just up here and make one. And I'll just name this door controller for now. Then I'm going to adjust the length of this thing. I'm going to make it shorter because we only need it to be 2 blocks long and 1 block wide, or vice versa, so that's fine. So on the door we have a button and a robotic hinge, and it's as simple as that. So we're going to be using these two to interact with our microcontroller, and we don't need anything else, and that's why we're using 2 spaces on there. So we go back in here and you can see we've got 1 and 2. So now let's go and add some nodes. So the first node we're going to add is an on-off node, and that's going to be an input because the button, of course, is going into the microcontroller and then out the other side into the robotic hinge. But yeah, it's going in first. So we've got an input here and it's on-off, and that's fine. And you can label it. I'm going to just do button here, but do whatever you need with the name of it. The next one we're going to add is an output, and also that's going to be a number, okay, because we're sending a value into the hinge to tell it how far it needs to open. So that's going to be a number here, and then, you know, as well, it's going to be an output. So we'll select output there, and we'll just separate them here. So that's all we need in this thing. Also, I will just label this door here. And next we want to go into logic up here, because all this part is done. In fact, we could add a symbol. I'm just going to put DC for door controller. I'm not going to be very neat with it, but there we go. That's terrible. That is terrible. There we are. DC for door controller. And then, yes, we go into logic up here and separate the two logic gates that we have. So here is our button, and basically we need to send this signal from the button into the door. But as you can see, we have red and green, so they won't connect up together. That's why we need to sort of convert the signal a bit into numbers. So what we're going to get is a numerical switch box. And here it is right up here, numerical switch box. We'll just grab one of those, that's all we need. And we're going to connect up the button into it, and then we're going to send the signal through into the door. However, at the moment, we don't have any numbers or number values in here. So we are going to have to choose an off value and an on value so that the button can switch between those two values or numbers in this case, and therefore tell the hinge what to do. So let's get some constant numbers. We're going to have two of these, of course, because we have two values to switch between. So I'll grab that one and then put another one down as well. Now actually, if I just chuck this down here, it might be a bit easier to see like this. Okay, so we'll just connect these up to the two things. Now, when the button is off, as you can see, it's a second value off there. We want the door to be closed, right? So the button's not pressed, that means it's closed. So that value could be 0, because then it tells the robotic hinge just to stay exactly where it is. But when we turn the button on, we want the value to be, well, in our case, I'll just have it as 1, so the hinge will go as wide as it can. Just like that. So we have 1 for when the button's pressed and 0 for when the button is not pressed. However, if you want the door to open, you know, halfway, for example, you could just put 0.5 and then it'll only open halfway, or, you know, 0.75, it'll open 3/4. But just for now, I'm just going to have 1, and I think that'll be fine for us. So let's now save it, go back to the truck and install one of these controllers for each door. Right, so I'm going to go into the component inventory here and just type in door controller, because that's what we made it. And there we go, my awful lettering of DC for door controller. We'll select that, and it really doesn't matter where we put this thing. I'm just going to put one under here, one for either side. We've got symmetry mode on, so actually that's a good place, isn't it? Just right there, that's perfect. There we go. Okay, so now let's go into logic mode and connect these things up. Now the button here is going to go into the microcontroller first, so we'll just put it down there, and then it's going to come out as a number value and into the hinge, and as simple as that, it is literally done. That's all we have to do. But let's go over here as well, and then we're going to get this button, put it into the controller again, take the green value out, the number output, put it into the hinge, and providing they've got power, these are going to work. So let's just check they do have power. Yeah, as you can see, it's all got power. Let's spawn it in then and see if we can operate our doors. Okay, come on, please work. Yes! That one works. Oh, I've missed a bit of painting under there, but I'll patch that up another time. Look at that, perfect. That's all we need. And we'll just try the other side as well. Oh yes, brilliant. Now bearing in mind, if you are doing one of these doors on any kind of vehicle, these ones here are not watertight. So just bear that in mind. You know, if you want a watertight door, you can do that with the frames and everything, but we're not interested in that just for this truck here, because we're not going to be driving into the water, or at least I hope not. That's not the plan anyway. But as you can see, it works. Now if we just go into the truck, we can try and close it from the seat. Just make sure that works as well. So good, we can reach it from the seat. Perfect. And we'll just try that side. Yes, can we reach it? Oh yes we can. Look at that, so good. Nice and easy. Fantastic. Okay, so tools and equipment are done now, and not only have I got stuff which might help us with transporting things, but also, and by the way, that dial is random, that's going to go soon. Yeah, this stuff might also help us out if we suddenly get a transponder signal to detect. So I've got a detecting thing here, and you know, all kinds of stuff, just in case we get a mission on the way, or if we want to use this truck for missions in the future. I haven't got everything on it, but I've got quite a lot of stuff here, which should help us out more than we need. Let me just get rid of that right now so that we don't have to forget it later. There we are. Good. And next, well, all of this stuff needs to be plugged in and sorted out, basically. I've got the key working. I've got this speed dial working here. But everything else is not plugged in yet. So I'm going to do the lights next. And there are 4 flip switches on here. So I'll show you this instrument panel first and how it's set up and labelled. And then, again, we'll go and make a microcontroller for this one. So we're going to click on select up here, click on our instrument panel, and then I've literally converted all of the dials into flip switches with this drop down menu here, and each one has their own channel. So that's channel 1, as you can see, and it's called running lights. And we've got instrument 2 is high beam, that's channel 2, and then we have number 3 is cab lights, channel 3. And finally we have instrument lights is number 4, and that's essentially, you know, backlights for these dials in the cab. Now those channels that we saw there, 1, 2, 3 and 4, they're going to come in really handy when making our microcontroller. So now let's go back into the editor and get started on it. Here we go then, a brand new microcontroller for this. So straight away I'm going to label it lights, and I'm going to just YT so I remember it's a YouTube version. And we're going to have 4 outputs, right? Because we've got 4 flip switches. Each one of those is going to send an output signal. But we also need an input signal as well. And so we're going to have 5 nodes on this thing. 4 outputs and 1 input. So with that in mind, we're going to just adjust the size of this. And again, I think I'm going to do it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Now we're going to logic, okay? And all of the flip switches, of course, use an on-off output. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make 2, 3, 4 of those and just spread them out. And make sure they are all outputs here. Okay, just like that. And now we can name them if we want to. So I could have running lights, high beam in the next one, cab lights, and instrument lights as well. There we go. Okay, but we do have a space here, and that's because we need that input, which is going to be a composite signal, which will come from the flip switch box into this microcontroller, and then we can send out all of the individual signals from here. So let's go back to add another node, and this one, we'll just put it in that space. This one is going to be a composite signal just here, all right? And that's going to go, well, we actually don't need to worry about labeling that one, to be honest, that's fine. Now let's go into logic then and get this sorted out in here. Okay, so on the left hand side, we're going to have our composite signal there. And on the right hand side, we're going to have the 4 different things. And you don't have to do this, but what I like to do is organize it really, really clearly and easily. So starting off, we're going to have channel 1 is running lights. So let's put them up there. Channel 2 is going to be high beam. Channel 3 is cab lights and channel 4 is instrument lights. So we'll just put them in order, it just makes it nice and simple, right? The next thing we're going to use is composite read on off over here. And there's going to be one of these for each of the light type there. So let's get 4 of them and we'll just, you know, line them up, make it nice and organized. There we go. We'll just get 4 of those. So before we link these up, let's just change our channels here so we match them, because running lights we know is channel 1, and that's going to be the top left flip switch on our panel. So that's alright, we can link that up. But this one is going to be channel 2 for high beam. So just click on it and then change the channel to 2, okay? And then simply do the same with these, but this is going to be 3, and that's going to be channel 4, okay? So now these, as I link them up, should match up with our instrument panel depending on which flip switch does what. And if you kind of mix these up by mistake, you probably find that maybe your high beam switch, you know, might do the instrument lights and the cab light switch might do the running lights, and it will just be a bit out of order. They should still work. But these channels, if we set them up properly, we should have everything working first time with any luck. So now all we have to do is connect up this node here into all 4 of these. Like that, and actually it's already done. Okay, so now our light switch panel is complete. Let's go and check it out. Here it is then, and I didn't draw a picture for this one, but it is here. It is titled Lights YouTube, so that's how I know which one it is. I might put it in the cab somewhere, and we can do that without actually taking up any extra space or adding any extra weight as well. So it should be very easy to do. We'll just put that in the back there. And I'll just chuck it down there, right? So from the inside you can see it, of course, bit of detail. But on the outside, you won't see anything at all there. So we'll do that. And it's already red, so there's no problem with that. And then we're just going to hook it up. So let's go into logic here. First of all then, let's actually send our signals in order. So from the instrument panel with our switches on, let's go from here, right? So we go into logic and then we'll get this signal here, which we're going to send from the switches into the microcontroller, because that's the direction the signal is going in, of course. With a dial which reads numbers, you're actually going to be sending a signal into the instrument panel so the dials can display that information, but here we are sending the signal out of it instead, and that's why we have a composite output to go into our microcontroller. And next we're going to go into data here and just simply put these into all of our lights as we need. So this is the high beam. So let's go over here, and my high beam lights are there. I've got 4 of those on the front. They're the spotlights right here. Okay. The next one we have is cab lights as well. So we'll just go and hook these up over there. And then we have instrument lights. Now these are just going to go simply to all of the dials and stuff on here. Okay, so it all lights up. Be really handy for seeing stuff. And last but not least, we have the running lights. I might not even need these, but you know what, I just have them on there anyway. It's as a bit of detail, and I don't know. We'll see, we might need them. It could be a good softer light for operating the winch, which I haven't actually set up yet. I'm probably going to do that another time, but we do have a winch there to use if we want to in the future. Okay, and you know what? Our lights are now done, or they should be done, so we'll just test it, but it should be okay. And we'll go around to this side, because that's where the driver's seat is on this truck. And just jump up, we can just click on the seat to get in, close the door. Fantastic, it's all coming together, guys. Look at that, there's a microcontroller down there, and all the equipment. Okay, so let's test it. Now, running lights, those are the 2 ones low down at the front, and as you can see, they are working very, very nicely. That's perfect, so let's turn that off. Now we want high beam, which is the spotlights, and you can definitely see they're working already. Just check they're all plugged in, and they are indeed all plugged in. Very good. Next we have the cab lights, which is the 2 just behind us, and yep, that's great. No problems there. Very, very happy with that. Then finally we do, of course, have the instrument lights here, which are on the dash. Now they're not very bright at the moment. In the night time, they're super bright. In fact, I might have to paint them. If I paint these, let's try that, because they might be a bit brighter. If you paint them white, that is the brightest you can get. As you can see, that got a bit brighter there. Now these were dull lights because when I placed the block down, I was using this grey, the dark grey, or one of these greys anyway. And that actually makes the lights a bit more dim as well, because they're going to be grey as well. So just bear that in mind. If you're placing down a block of a certain colour, the lights are also going to be of that colour probably as well. But I'm going to use white here, just to make things super bright. And then if we go and test it again in a minute, they should be really nice and clear and visible. I will leave this indicator light here green, because that is actually just telling us when our battery is 100% full. Then it will light up green. If it drops below 100%, then it will just turn off. So I'll leave it on green, then it's just really noticeable, but it should, I hope, stay green most of the time. But anyway, let's go and check out these instrument lights in game. And hopefully they're really, really bright. Here we are then. Look at that. Much better already. Much better already. But none of these are hooked up yet, apart from speed. Which, let's just check that. If I just move forward a little bit. Here we go. You can see the speed is working. That's currently in meters per second. But nothing else is currently working. Okay, so coming up soon in this video, I'm actually going to show off that trailer, which I was talking about earlier. The trailer is finished and it's ready to go now. It's ready to put a container on and take it to its destination. So I will show that off in this episode. But I think the last thing I'm going to do here, and there are a few more microcontrollers to do, but they take a while. I'm just going to do one more in this video for you guys on camera. And please do let me know if you find this useful. I know a lot of you guys are probably very good at this and probably much better than me. But if anyone does find it useful, do let me know, and I'll be happy to try and include more of this stuff in the future, of course. But I'm going to do one more thing here, and that is that I'm actually going to connect up this instrument panel here, which is monitoring the engine's RPS and the temperatures as well. So it's a bit like the instrument panel we've done here, but it's opposite. So we now are sending a signal into the instrument panel to display the values here. We're not actually sending the signal out of it like we've done just over here. So now let's go back in and do our final microcontroller for this video. Okay then, so first of all, let's have a look at the instrument panel itself and just see what I've got here. And by the way, the dials kind of go like this. So dial number 1 is on the left, top left here. Dial number 2 is on the top right. Dial number 3, bottom left, and then bottom right for number 4. So that's kind of how it works in this case. And if I just click on it here, you'll see that dials 1 and 2 are RPS left and RPS right. So left and right are the left engine and the right engine, because I've got 2 engines up here, the medium ones. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. I do have the channels apparently already set up, so that's good. We've got channel 1 for instrument 1 and channel 2 for instrument 2, and they are both dials at the moment. So if we look here, they're gauges instead of dials. And so to do that, you literally just click on the drop down here and select gauge. Nice and easy. That is temperature left and 4 is temperature right. They've also been set up with the channels already. So we've got instrument 3 is channel 3 and instrument 4 is channel 4. Now temperatures, the engines normally at the moment blow up at 120 degrees. So that's what I've set their maximum number to be. You know, you could do it more or less if you want to. That's just what I've done here. So they are calibrated fairly well, and we're not going to be getting anywhere near 120 degrees under normal circumstances in this truck. And actually what I should be doing, now the RPS here I've put up to 20 max value, but I forgot to do it on this one, so I'm just going to put 20 in here as well. And I've got it to 20 because I think that's what it's limited to. If we look at the engines here, yeah, they are limited to 20 RPS, and we're not going to be using 20. That's just what the limit is. So I've just matched it up with these dials here, so that we basically the dial is like calibrated with the engines that I've got on the truck. Let's go now into our Microcontroller Editor and start setting up the controller for this instrument panel. Now this one is, I'm going to call it like an engine RPS temp controller. Have I spelt that right? I think so. There we go. That's just so I can find it really. And now we're going to move, well actually first of all, again we're going to have 5 nodes on this thing. So I'm just going to make this a bit smaller and then longer or wider even. That's 4, that's 5. Okay, good. 5 spaces there. Okay, so now let's go into logic here, and we're going to have to add 5 nodes, alright? First of all, we're going to have a composite output here, because we're going to send a composite signal out of this controller and into the instrument panel, where it's going to display all the numerical values that we're sending it. Okay, so we're going to go and add a node, turn it to composite here, and then yeah, it's going to be an output, so we're sending it out into the panel. Okay, now next we're going to have 4 inputs here, and they're going to be number inputs because we're sending in number values. For example, the temperature and the RPS, they're all numbers of course. Now that's done, we've converted all of these into numbers, and they are inputs because the nodes are going from the engine into this microcontroller, and so we need somewhere to put them into, and then they're going to go out of here. Right, hopefully that makes sense anyway. Now, as I normally do, I'm going to label these. So I'm going to do RPS, RPS left, okay, RPS right, like that, and then I'm going to do temperature left, and we'll do temperature right as well, okay? And that's all done. So now let's go into the logic section and try and hook it all up. If you remember from the panel, I had RPS left and right at the top. So let's go and do that now. If I just get RPS left first, because that's channel 1. RPS right is channel 2. And then we have the temperatures the same, left and right, channels 3 and 4, okay? However, this time, I'm actually going to spin them round, so it's more like this, actually. It's very similar to the previous microcontroller with the lights, but it is the opposite way around. So we're going to put these things on this side this time. Now, instead of reading, again, we are now writing. So we're going to do a composite write number and put that down here, okay? Now this... we've got 4 channels, right? So we're going to change the channel count to 4. Okay. And then this first one, input 1, that is channel 1. Okay. Then it goes channel 2, channel 3, and channel 4, essentially. That's how it works here. So, of course, we could do that right now because that's nice and simple. Just connect up the composite there. But then, simply, and you don't have to change the start channel. If I change this to, like, 3, for example... that means the first node here, I believe, would be a 3, I think. I've never done that before, so I don't know, but I believe that means it would then go, you know, like 3, 4, 5, and 6 as you go down the list here. But of course, we're just going to start on 1 because it's nice and easy, and that's all we have to do here. So all we're going to do here is connect up RPS left, RPS right, temperature left and temperature right, just like that. Okay, and that's it. So all you have to do is now, well, save it of course, and then we'll just spawn it in, connect it up to the truck, and yeah, it should work. We'll test it of course as always before we move on to the trailer, which I'm going to show you guys in just a short while. Right, here we go then. Here is the microcontroller we've just made here. So let's get it and find a place to put it. Basically, it's the same size as this one, so what we could actually do is just put it above, and there's nothing on the back that's going to be in the way, is there? So we'll just do that, I reckon. And again, if I just cover it just to place it down, then we'll get rid of that cover in a minute. We'll take this, spin it round, fit it in place, and of course I'll probably just end up painting it red or something like that. There we go. And it's there. So now we'll click on logic, okay, and get it all hooked up. First of all, we have the composite signal here, which is going to go straight into our instrument panel. So it's sending the signals into the panel to read on the displays. And then we go into data. And what we're doing is sending these number values here from the engines into the microcontroller. So let's go and get the left engine temperature. That's left from this perspective. Left engine temperature, okay? We're just going to find that. And there it is right there. So left engine temperature, and we'll do left engine RPS as well, if I can just get the right one here. There we go, RPS left, which is probably that one right there. There we go. Okay. Next we're going to go to the right hand side, the right engine, and get the temperature and just hook that up over there. And then we can probably do it this way this time. Find the engine RPS right just over there. Okay, now we've done that, everything should work on that instrument panel. So let's spawn the truck in, fuel it up, and test it out. Okay, then the truck is fueled up. Let's go round to the right-hand side, open the door, head up the ladder here. And so this is the instrument panel we're dealing with. First of all, you can see the temperatures are both working. They're even, they're both the same. You can see the bar rising here, and they're reading just over 17 degrees at the moment. The RPS, of course, is reading 0, because the engines are just not running. But we do have the fuel installed. I'm also going to put the instrument lights on. Right, there we go. That's a nice clear image of all of these things now. And as I've calibrated these, they should all work very nicely when we turn it on. So let's close the door then. And actually fire up the engines. We have full throttle on at the moment. There we are. It's come to life. Yes, 12 RPS, both the same of course, and the temperatures are rising as well, so they're currently just about 50 degrees and rising. Speed is 0. Now I haven't done this one yet, of course. I'm probably going to do this one off camera. It's a similar kind of, you know, setup and design as all the other controllers we've done today. Slightly different, but very, very similar. This is for fuel, battery and generator, and as I say, that's a full battery indicator light as well. Also, there is a monitor here, and that is for reversing. It doesn't work yet. I'll probably, again, hook that up off camera. But yeah, that's just connected to this camera back here. Okay then, so we finished working on this truck in this video, but we still have a trailer to show you as well. So let me go and switch this up right now, and then we'll take a look. And here it is, our first ever trailer for the truck. Let's go and have a look round then, and I'll talk through the features it has. First of all, it connects with an electrical connector here onto the truck itself. I've got 2 ladders here so you can easily get up onto it, because it is actually quite tall, isn't it? Look at that, you can walk right underneath it, no problem at all. It's much bigger than I expected it to be actually. But yes, we do have the 7x7 wheels, which are exactly the same as the ones on the truck. They're the non-suspension versions, because if you've got suspension, you know, as you put weight on this trailer, the suspension is going to be unbalanced, and therefore actually, you know, the container might start tipping on top and all sorts of crazy things can happen. So I thought if I went for no suspension, the trailer should stay nice and even with any luck. Next we have a couple of feet here, if that's what they're called, And you can operate these just by pressing this button here, and as you can see they fold in like that. So when you do connect up to the truck, you put the feet in, and therefore they're not going to, interfere with the ground when you're driving, of course. And they do have mags on the end as well, which do work. So if you press this button here, the mags turn on, and they basically act as a brake. So when you're trying to, put containers on or lift them off, this whole thing will just stay nice and strong in place. So that should be a really good feature on those. But let's put these back in now. And where's the button? It's just up here, isn't it? There we go. And that should raise up nicely. There we are, all good. Now running to the back, well actually first of all I've got a couple of batteries here near the middle of the trailer, and also I have, what was that? Oh yeah, door hinge button. That's for this one here. Okay, that's for this. So actually it operates in the same way as the door hinge on the truck which we made earlier. It's exactly the same thing. So there's another example of one microcontroller which can be used for two separate different uses, exactly the same way. Then round the back here we've got another couple of ladders here, and also we have two buttons. This is for releasing the container connectors on top. So if we run up here, you can now see where we're actually connecting our container to. This red outline here is the exact shape of the container, the size of it. Then on each corner we have electrical connectors, of course. Okay, so that button there literally just disconnects those. But also we have this one, which I haven't labelled, but that is brakes. So I'll show you that. If I just push it forwards a bit like that, then press the button, it stops. Okay. So again, not only do we have the mags here, but we also have wheel brakes as well. And that's it. There's nothing more to this trailer actually, but it does work. I've given it a bit of a test. I haven't done a proper container run yet, of course. I'm saving that for the actual video to share with you guys. I'll be experiencing that for the first time. But yes, I've given it a quick runabout with the truck, a bit of off-roading and stuff, and it does work, at least as far as I can see. But unfortunately, that is all we've got time for in this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's certainly been really fun making this thing, and it's only the very beginning, because next episode, we are going to take this truck and trailer and the secret vehicle that I've been working on behind the scenes, and we're going to actually deliver a container. And hopefully nothing will go wrong, but you can never be sure in Stormworks. So until next time, thank you so much, take care, and I hope to see you all very, very soon. Bye guys.